Everyone, Johnny here. Don't speak news. News you're not supposed to speak about. And of course, everybody's speaking about this one. It's kind of hard to ignore. There was a terrorist attack on Crimea, Russia today, right on the beach. And guess who the terror attack was from? Ukraine and the United States, who helped Ukraine aim the missiles that hit the beach in Crimea here with cluster munitions, which have actually been banned. But of course, since the U.S. doesn't have anything else to give Ukraine, they're giving them these cluster munitions as well. And so far, there's been at least 3 people killed, all of them children, at least 100 wounded, 27 of which are children. And I can officially say, and I'm sure a lot of other outlets are saying today, that NATO and Ukraine are nothing, absolutely nothing more than terrorist organizations at this point. And they should basically be treated as such, and they're about to be. So here we go. Here's footage from Crimea. I want to warn everybody, it is a little bit graphic as we go along here, so you've been warned. That's what cluster munitions sound like. And that's video number 1. Now we go over to Telegram, where I'm going to show you some more videos here. Scroll up, so forgive me as we go. This is also in Russia, but this is on a synagogue and a couple Orthodox churches in Derbent, in the Republic of Dagestan, and it led to a fire breaking out at the synagogue. So here's some footage of the same incident from different locations in the town. Here we go.
Я не знаю, что там происходит, но что-то очень глобальное. И после того, как ухнул гранатомет, по-моему, прям очень ухнул, вот эта штука горит. Не знаю, что это.
This next one, guys, is where it's going to get a little graphic, where we see dead police officers and priests.
2 их убили здесь. Вот они, пидорасы ебаные.
And there you go. So we have a terrorist attack conducted by Ukraine and NATO, the United States, as I can show you further down here. U.S. drone directed the ATACMS missile strike, dropping deadly cluster bombs on civilians in Sevastopol. This is a direct attack by the USA on Russia, essentially, guys. And Biden is definitely pushing the world into the war. But it's not Biden, it's his handlers, as we know. But moments before this cluster munition blew up on the beach in Sevastopol, Crimea today, a U.S. drone was circling and guiding the missile fired in Ukraine to its coordinates. So this is just as, the U.S. could just as well pull the trigger, and they might have. They probably just have Ukrainians standing by watching what they're doing because they don't know how to operate the systems. Just saying. It'll be the same thing with the F-16s. They'll have NATO pilots flying them, not Ukrainians. Of course, they'll just lie and say it's Ukrainians, but that's the way this war has been going. So you just have to ask yourself. You have to ask the question, how much more is Russia going to take before they finally just let loose on the West and especially the United States? Well, let's go over to Hal Turner radio show real quick and find out. See if there's anything new here. But he had some statements from the Russian Foreign Ministry on this whole scenario here that we're going through today. So here we go. U.S. drone appears to have provided target coordinates for Ukraine strike on Russian civilians on the beach. This is the latest news coming out from Hal. Earlier today, this website reported an attack with U.S.-supplied ATACMS missiles by Ukraine against civilians on a beach in Sevastopol, Crimea. Now we find out that these missiles could not get targeting coordinates because of Russian GPS electronic warfare jamming, so targeting was apparently provided by a U.S. Global Hawk drone. it looks like we targeted those Russian civilians. As shown in the image above, Russian jamming of global positioning satellites has been long underway near Crimea, specifically to thwart Ukrainian attacks like the one we saw today. Areas in red on the image above show where the GPS signals cannot get through. So how did these ATACMS missiles hit the target in Sevastopol? Turns out there was U.S. Air Force Global Hawk surveillance drone airborne prior to and during the attack. Its overlapping flight path is shown on the flight radar map here below. So there it is. The Global Hawk drone can provide precise target coordinates separate and distinct from GPS. Those coordinates can then be radioed to be programmed into the HIMARS launcher, which fired the ATACMS missiles. The evidence seems to indicate the attack on Russian civilians and on the beach in Sevastopol appears to have been targeted with the United States Air Force Global Hawk drone, which relied on U.S. satellite data and communications to provide the attack coordinates. This appears to many people to have been an active war by the United States against Russian civilians. So let me ask you this. If Americans on a beach in, say, Wildwood, New Jersey, or Miami, Florida, were hit with cluster munitions provided by Russia, but launched by someone else, while a Russian drone was offshore at the time of the attack, what would we in the United States do? What would we demand the government do? Would we say Russia's not a party to the conflict, or would we just cut through the bullshit, declare war, and blow the living crap out of them? I think it'd be the latter. So if you think we would declare war and blow the living crap out of them as I do, then why shouldn't Russia do the same exact thing to us? Indeed. Guys, it's just a matter of time. And I don't care what he says here about the illegitimate Biden regime. It's not Joe Biden. He's been dead since 2018. His own daughter wrote about it in a book. He's buried in Arlington. It's not the real Joe Biden. You can see the mask. It's been an actor, an imposter this whole time. Possibly clones, I don't know. But it's not him. But nonetheless, war is coming to the shores of the United States, and Russia and China are going to completely blow us out of the bleeping air. I mean, they're just going to blow everything to holy hell. Go listen to Dmitry Duduman's prophecy about the war that's coming to America. I've put it on Telegram and I put it on the website. Go listen to it if you want to hear what's coming to America. The absolute total destruction. New York, Los Angeles, the entire state of Florida, Seattle, probably Spokane, where I'm at too. And a lot of other places are just going to be wiped off the flippin' map. It's going to be done because of crap like this. They're pushing Russia into this war. They have every justification to go to war. And for those of you who want to sit here and pretend that the U.S. is the good guy and pretend it's 1985, stop being so ridiculous. What's wrong with you? Hulk Hogan isn't the WWF champion, and Rocky and the Russian guy aren't fighting it out on the movie screens anymore. Wake up. It's 40 years from now. It's 40 years later. It's 40 years later. The United States isn't even pretending to be the good guys anymore. They just gaslight everybody and say that they are, even though the video evidence shows us the exact opposite. So don't come to me and tell me that I'm being too hard on the United States and I'm a traitor and blah, blah, blah. I'm a born-again believer. I don't belong to this world. And if you call yourself one, you don't either. But a lot of you still do. A lot of you still worship that flag like the idol that it is. That's what you're doing, is idol worship. You're pledging allegiance and taking oaths when we're not supposed to take oaths. Let your yes mean yes and your no mean no. But oh, they don't want to tell you that in church. Because the church loves the military. The church loves to have the wars and wave their little handheld flags. It's just ridiculous. Blessed be the peacemakers is what Jesus Christ said, not the warmongers. And I'm sick and tired of all the warmongering I get in my emails and messages lately. The U.S. is not, they are not the good guys here. Not whatsoever at all. And if you don't believe that those terrorist attacks in Dagestan on the Orthodox churches and the synagogue weren't also directed by the CIA and NATO, think again. Think again. And here's the latest update at 4:10 p.m. on this attack on civilians. Let's take a look at what Hal has to say here. And the latest update, I'll put the links up to all this as always. I'm sure a lot of you have already read this. But here's the latest. From Dmitry Medvedev, Deputy Chairman, Russian Federation Council. The U.S. bastards are supplying Bandrivosky with cluster munitions and help them take aim at targets. The Kiev bastards are choosing a beach filled with civilians as their target and press the button. Both will burn in hell, hopefully not just in the sacral flames, but even before that in the earthly fire. What happened is not military actions, but a sneaky and vile terrorist attack against our people. Moreover, it occurred on an Orthodox holiday, just like the massacre that extremists carried out in Dagestan, which is why now we do not differentiate between any of them, whether it is the American authorities, the Bandera regime, or insane fanatics. My deepest condolences to the families of the deceased. I wish the wounded the soonest recovery. It's coming, guys. You just have to ask yourself, when? Now, before I go, according to this video here and other reports coming out of Israel from their own publications like Haaretz, apparently the big rumor now is that Netanyahu is going to declare victory over Hamas in order to justify a deal post the so-called intense phase. So they're just going to gaslight everybody and say that they won, in other words, so that they can take their focus off of Gaza and Hamas and put it over onto Hezbollah and Lebanon. That's the latest rumor on that situation. So once again, we'll just have to keep our eyes peeled and our ears open, right? Just head on a swivel, just stay alert, but not afraid. Okay, we don't have a spirit of fear. God does not give us one. But power, love, and a sound mind, that's what he gives us. So don't live in fear of all this stuff. Just be ready, prayed up and prepped up at all times. And that's it for now. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.